What's going on, people? It's Kishiati Views and Vlogs in the building here again to break down another video. And remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Watch the video, get your time's work, get the value work, because I break down these videos. And my whole goal is to break the spells casted on black men about the narratives that has been casted upon you and that you are trained to believe your entire life, right? I'm 33 years old, and for the 3 decades of my living, I've heard all sorts of narratives about black men that come to find out were not true. So that's my job here. And my job here is to get men not to stay away from women, but or black men not to stay away from black women, but to define yourself, to be your own man, and not to allow women to dictate who you're supposed to be. You got to dictate that, and you got to take the reins of your ship and steer your ship as a grown ass man into the direction you want to go to, and set your standard and your bars high and high. Right. I'm just here to decode what these women are saying, because black men want relationships, and they want relationships with black women. That's like we're not going to skip over that, right? And I'm trying to teach black men how to pick the right type of women, and I'm teaching myself along the ride. So, and you know, for the black men who still want to deal with black women and want to be in relationships with black women, I got to break this down. Now, I got to say this before I begin. Black men, you got to support each other. Like, it's not cool that guys like myself, the angry man, philosophical, and their brothers out here in these spaces who are meaningfully trying to get black men to wake up. And you guys are not subscribing. You guys are not watching the full length of the videos. You know what I'm saying? You're not paying attention to the content. You're not donating. You're not liking. You're not sharing. You're not hype. Even if you don't donate, at least hype and share up the video, so that my video can hit the algorithm and it can get out there to the people, right? And you gotta do that. You gotta support the people that talk for you. Now, what you're not gonna get from me, I'm not just gonna talk shit about black women just for the sake of talking shit about black women, right? When I say something about black women, it's meaningful, and I'm gonna talk about the black women who were in error, and my energy is gonna be according to the situation. Like with this chick I'm going to review right here, right? So don't look to me for that kind of content, right? I am disgusted with black women's behavior of today. Yes, I very fucking am. But I'm not just gonna get up here and follow that charge of talk shit about black women just for the sake of it. When I talk shit about black women, it's for a reason, and I have presentations, and it's going to be intellectually backed up. And I'm going to use the women that fit the black woman that fits the example of a bad black woman that I'm talking about. And I'm still going to give a very balanced critique of it. So that's what you should expect from me when I give a video talking about certain subjects. Now, let's get into this video, right? This chick, she was engaged to this guy, and she broke up the engagement. My fault. She broke off the engagement, and she went on a talk show. Now, it's just funny to me, every time when black women do these things, they always get rewarded. The culture praises and raises them. When the Tamara twin did it, she got praised and rewarded. Various talk shows. When that woman disrespected Michael B. Jordan on the red carpet, she got put on a talk show, elevated and raised. When Steph Curry's wife, I forgot her name, when she was talking about leaving her man out of their relationship, it was basically humiliating Steph Curry. It was praised and rewarded. Like Cardi B, the same thing. So it's like every time these women do these things, and it's humiliating towards the black man, they get praised, raised, and elevated, because this is what the culture pushes. Well, without further ado, let's get into the video.
And um and propose to them, you
scratch and just bring us up to speed if we're not aware.
And as I grew older, those things became, and a lot. We used to go to, he was just like, go and we Dallas. I
may not have seen the post. So we're starting from scratch and just bring us up to speed if we're not aware what happened.
It was never like one specific thing. I think when he and I met, I was so young. We were long distance. I was a news anchor in Waco, and he was living in Dallas. And
give us age. You say so young. What is that? How old were you?
I was, I think, 26 or 27.
Okay.
And so, well, I'm 31 now. So what's 31 minus 4?
Yeah.
So I was in Waco and we were long distance. And I think the things that I wanted in a relationship from a man at that time were very different than what it is today and what it's been the last year. You never enter me.
Welcome to Dear Future Wifey, Niyah.
An engagement.
Yes, it was. Yes.
First time somebody ever proposed to you and you made the decision to end it. Why is this making you emotional?
We were together for 4 years.
She was
and I think when you enter relationships, you never enter it thinking that it's going to end. And what makes it a lot harder, I think, is being online and sharing so much. You know, I share.
What the hell are you crying about? What's the cry about? What the fuck you crying? I looked on him and I gave her a tissue. I went in, I swear to God, yo, what's wrong?
Everything, my whole entire life. I shared when I tore my Achilles. I share everything. And so for me, my platform has always been about being authentic. And that meant also sharing, ending my engagement. And
she's going with that angle, right? You know, she's posted things about her Achilles, about her life. And she posted about her breaking up. And I guess she thought she was going to get cheered. And she didn't get cheered for it. She got held accountable for that. Because let me tell you something. Women know if they like you and want to be with you within the first couple of 6 months of them dating you. And you spent 4 years with a guy, you agreed to get engaged, and then you broke it off in 8 months. So she posted it thinking she was going to get cheered for it because that's the environment. As I said earlier, the culture raises and praises women as it's doing now when they do this. Because this is a nobody chick. She got popping off of that video she made, and she's on the couch. It's the same thing with Michael B. Jordan and that red carpet chick, right? But she's getting praised and raised for it. That didn't happen. Now she's saying, this is me being authentic. So she's going that angle or that route. And how I noticed is I've seen this plenty of times. This is how women shift their accountability and protect themselves by doing this rather than saying, I thought I wanted to be with him. I don't want to be with him anymore. Right? And even if niggas is drilling her about that, I will step up and say, she just didn't want to be with him anymore. But that's not the angle she's going. Now, men can still make the argument that, you wasted this guy's time. You guys say you want marriage, but that's not really what you wanted. So let's go into it.
That in and of itself was really, really hard. And I also, just having to share it publicly too. But that was a choice that I made. Being in social media is a choice that I made. That's a career that I chose to be in. And so when you're...
So if you understand social media, why are you crying? Why are you crying about something you understand? You know what I'm saying?
Dealing with something so personal, but also it's public, it just makes it 10 times harder.
But you said your career as a social media person, so you don't understand.
I'm going to let Ashley lead in this. What would you like to ask about that?
I love that you're transparent. I think that's going to help a lot of people.
And fellas, I like that she's transparent too. Because when she's being transparent, sorry, I'm looking at something, my fault. When she's being transparent, fellas, that should let you know what she's about, what type of time she's on, and if you should invest time and energy moving forward with that woman. So don't be afraid of women being transparent about who they are, because this lets you know who they are. So you know, should I go forward with this person or should I not? Right. And when they tell you who they are, you can still tell them what you expect out of them if you're going to deal with them. You know what I'm saying? But let their transparency speak, let their transparency tell you who they are, and accept that for that's who they are, and move accordingly. If she's saying she's a 304, she's transparent about that, and you know that you're not secure with dealing with a 304, you don't deal with that person. If she's a business-minded woman, and you know that a woman who's a business doesn't qualify for the type of relationship you want, that woman is not who you should be dealing with. That's not a woman that aligns to where you want to go in your direction with your life.
Would love to just hear a little bit about, what happened. Everyone may not have seen the post. So we're starting from scratch, and just bring us up to speed if we're not aware what happened.
Mm-hmm. It was never like one specific thing. I think when he and I met, I was so young. We were long distance. I was a news anchor in Waco, and he was living in Dallas. And
give us age. You say so young. What is that?
I was, I think, 26 or 27.
Okay. They try to play that I was so young game, and I didn't know what
I'm 31 now, so what's 31 minus 4? I was in Waco, and we were long distance, and I think the things that I wanted in a relationship from a man at that time were very different than what it is today. And what it's been the last year. We were so young, and we were honestly, like, the thing that I was so attracted to about him was that he was just so fun, and we connected on so many different things. We used to go to the gym together. Honestly.
Let me put this presentation up here, right? So there's key things you got to listen for, what he's saying. Now, I have come up with something called logical interpretation. You listen to what women say, and you let them talk long enough, and you string together the different parts to create a roadmap of what they're saying. Then you have to look at what they're doing to see if what they're doing aligns up to what they're saying, to find the picture or the truth of who they are. So that's how you got to decode women, right? Women speak very vague. They don't really tell the truth because that's how they're wired to be. Right, but you got to listen to what they say. That's very critical, right? But let's look at some key words he was saying.
31 minus 4. He was living in Dallas.
Give us age. You say so young. What is that?
I was, I think,
because women like to play that he was so young angle, like he was young, and he took advantage of me. But she was 27 years old. So I'm saying. So if she was 27 years old, you're close to your 30s. You were young, but you're still mature enough to understand what a relationship is. You like, after the age of 21, you have a developed brain to understand what you're doing. Understand? So she really couldn't use that excuse. She could try to, but then how old was he? Hold on. So I'm looking for something. This speaks to, I hope I can find it. Oh. Let's see, evolution. No, that's not it. My fault. Let me find it. Evolution. All right, so
26 or 27.
Okay.
And so, I'm 31 now, so what's 31 minus 4?
Yeah.
So we Yeah, I was in Waco and we were long distance. And I think the things that I wanted in a relationship from a man at that time were very different than what it is today and what it's been the last year. We were.
What was it that you wanted? So listen, because she'll say what she wanted, but she won't say it. But in what she wanted, she'll reveal herself. Let's see what she said.
So young, and we were honestly, like, the thing that I was so attracted to about him was that he was just so fun, and we connected on so many different things. We used to go to the gym together. Honestly, we were going out a lot, just going out to the club and just living a fast life. And as I grew older, those things became less important to me. And I think the things that he and I connected on were no longer there.
But what did you connect on? You said a whole lot of nothing. Fast life. So y'all connected off of partying, vibes, going to the club and going to a gym. That's it. There was no intimate thing you connected on. You didn't connect on something y'all talked about, right? You didn't connect on what was the intimate thing y'all connected on. Intimacy doesn't have to mean sex. Y'all could have went on to the park, talked about something. Y'all could have. What did you connect on? What was the value system that y'all connected on? Did you connect on because she said she was a news anchor. So you're a career type of chick. What was his career? Did you connect on that? What was the vision of your life? What was the vision for his life? How did you align with his life and his vision? What y'all talked about was going to the club and partying and be a very fast life. When we say fast life, what does that mean? When you be in a 304, what were y'all doing? You didn't say anything. Or at least you didn't say anything that would tell us that would tell us how did you connect.
So we weren't going out, we weren't working out together, we were barely hanging out together and doing things that build emotional intimacy. So I think build emotional intimacy. We're barely hanging out together and doing things that build emotional we weren't going out, we weren't working out together. We were barely.
See, the thing is about this, right? When you're in your 27, 26, 27, right? And you're doing things, you're going out on your dates and all these things. And then now you're growing together in a 4-year relationship now in your 30s. That's different, right? When you're 26 and you go into your 30s, so let me explain this, right? In your early 20s, you're outside the house. You're off the porch, ripping and running the streets. You don't really know what you're doing as a young adolescent adult. That's what I call to people in their 20s. You're an adolescent adult. And by the time you hit 26, 27, 28, you're now kind of figuring out who you are and what you want to do. By the time you hit 31 years old now, you're more mature. You know what you want to do, and it's crunch time at that point. So you're not going to be doing the same partying and going out and fast life like you were in your 26, 27, and 28, because now you're in your 31. You now have more of a career orientated. You have a clear direction in sight of where you want to go with your life. So you're not going to be doing those things, especially if you're in a relationship and you're building towards something. Your time and effort is no longer geared to partying and fast life. Now you can still do those things, but it's going to be more toned down. It's not going to be at the highest frequency. Right? So now she's just making shit up to find the reasons why she broke up with the dude to go do what she wanted to do. But I'm just making that educational point to teach people what it's like. Of course, you're going to evolve, right? So I'm going to put this presentation onto the screen to show you what I mean. All right. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. When we talk about a man's evolution in the context of a relationship, you have to understand something. A man was already growing before the woman ever showed up. A man is supposed to be on his path. His mission is building himself, developing, evolving, and that's a natural order, right? So the man is not going to do the same things he was doing at 26. Now he's at 31 at a more mature pace, right? But here's what happens with most men. I think most men fall into this trap. Once they get into a relationship, they get stagnant. They stop moving. I don't think that's what was happening with his brother. I think that he stopped doing what he was doing when he was younger. And as the Bible says, when you become an adult, you put away childish things. So when he was in the childish state at 26, he was partying fast life. Now that he's 31, he's doing more adult things, right? They were valuable in the first. They shut down the very engine that made them attractive and valuable in the first place. And a lot of that comes from how society trains us. Once you're in a relationship, your job is to settle down, sacrifice your dreams, and just focus on being a provider. Even the Bible tells you that. What men end up doing is abandoning their hopes, their dreams, their personal evolution, just to maintain that relationship. And I don't think that's what that guy was doing, as she's describing, right? All right. So I don't think this is what happened was what was happening to that brother. All right. But I just wanted to break down to you the evolution of men, how men are supposed to evolve. Now, this is just saying what happens to men when you stagnate yourself to become a provider or custodian, right? When you become the maintainer rather than the leaders, right? So you end up becoming the maintainer, and that's how women lose attraction to you. But I don't think this brother was doing that, right? So men are socially conditioned to become providers and emotional managers in their relationship, often sacrificing personal growth, while evolution requires certain parts of oneself to die. A man should evolve according to his own vision, not a woman's. A woman should evolve in relation to his leadership, but many women sabotage a man's growth due to insecurity or competition. True male evolution sometimes requires ending relationships that stop progress, right? But she ended this relationship, but she did not want to evolve with where he was going. She still expected him to still be at 26 and 27 years old. You understand? But he was evolving. And she's going, I wonder what she's going to say, right? A woman evolves through complementarity, aligning with masculine growth. If some women resist or sabotage male growth due to insecurity, fear, or competition, right? So, fellas, you never want to be any of these things. You could be a provider. You could be a conflict manager. You could be the emotional stabilizer or household pillar, right? But you cannot allow these roles to consume your identity, leaving little space for personal development. Research consistently shows that men's personal goals often decline after entering long-term relationships, while women stay intact or increase, right? So I don't have an issue with a man being a provider. I don't have an issue with you being a manager or managing conflict, but don't allow these roles that you're playing in your household to consume your identity. That woman still has to be in alignment, and she has to respect your growth and where you want to go. If you have to keep on tapping into a conflict manager or emotional stabilizer, that woman is not for you. Right? Now, a man shedding immaturity, bad habits, or ego-driven behaviors for his mission, unhealthy evolution. A man shedding his mission or identity to satisfy relational demands. So I'm glad she left him so he doesn't have to have an unhealthy evolution, right? So let's go back to the video.
Hanging out together and doing things that, build emotional intimacy. So I think that was the biggest change, was he was no longer my best friend. He became my roommate.
And so y'all were actually, when you say roommate, y'all were actually living together at this time.
Yeah.
How long were y'all dating before y'all decided to move in with each other?
I believe 2 years. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that was here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex.
Yes.
So when did you relocate from Waco to Dallas?
In 2022.
In 2022. And so at what stage, y'all were engaged for 8 months before you called it off. Were there any, let's go back to the moment that we're going to go ahead and put this in reverse. How did y'all meet?
Social media.
So I met on social media. Did you slide in his DM? Did he slide in yours? What was it?
I followed him on Instagram, and then I was kind of like waiting on him to slide in my DMs, and then he wouldn't. So I was like, I followed him for like 2.
Oh, so she followed him. So she shot. So this is how women indirectly shoot shots at you. This has happened to me before, right? They'll follow you, hoping that you respond to them or they'll like something on your picture so you can message them in their DMs, right? And they want you to do this to make it seem as if you like them and you weren't the one who approached them, or they weren't the ones who approached you. So they set this up to have plausible deniability, right?
2 weeks waiting for him to say something, and just when I was about to unfollow him, he messaged me, and he responded to a story of my Apple Watch, and it was me ending a workout. And I thought I was so slick. I was like, oh, something about let's do like a workout competition or something, but I need your number to
shots fired.
And so he gave me.
I actually like what she did right there. That was very good, right? She clicked to follow his. She followed his Instagram page. She's about to unfollow him though. I didn't like that. If you followed him and you want him to respond to you, you should have pushed further. But he messaged her, and then she created a scenario where she had to get his number. So I actually do like that.
His number, and then I remember his area code was 816. So
she remembered his area code.
He was from Kansas City, and then that was kind of our connection there. And then honestly, it kind of just happened so fast. Yeah, I mean, he was exactly what I needed at that time.
Exactly what she needed at that time. Does that mean that you were in a breakup before you met him? What do you mean by that? Exactly what you needed at that time. I wonder if she's going to reveal that.
And then when did y'all take it from just a DM exchange to now we go together?
Yeah.
Real bad.
I had driven to Dallas a couple times. I went with my roommate at the time, Madison. We drove to Dallas. We went out. He used to have a hookah business. So he was doing something at like a rooftop. And so we met him there. And that was our very first meeting. And I really liked him. He was really.
I like that too, right? So she's doing some certain good things, right? She's making the effort to show him interest. She is making her way to go drive to him. The only issues that I have is that she said that he was exactly what she needed at the time. And I wonder what she's going to, but these are good things, right? Because this is how women are supposed to show interest. They're supposed to take risks. If they want you to take risk for them, they got to take risk for you. And you got to reward them for doing that, right?
Kind, he was sweet, very attractive. So, and we just stayed in touch, and he was driving back.
That's why she followed him. He was attractive. And he had
forth from Dallas to Waco to see me. And
no, I don't think she's a gold digger. I don't think she's any of that. I think she's just, she could be a bad woman, but I think she's doing what the culture rewards her to do.
You know, doing the same on the weekends.
Did y'all know each other's families? Did you get to, at what point did you meet his family? And
I want to say I know it was in November because I had gone home with him for Thanksgiving.
That could play a factor, right? So a lot of people tend to stay together because of family, right? And you can meet their family, because that's how it used to be, right? Where, a son and his family would meet the daughter and vet the daughter and their family, and vice versa. So a lot of time what pressure people to stay together is because of family. And I think for a lot of Black men, we don't have a mother and a father together, especially in the 90s and the 80s. We don't have our mothers and fathers, for the most part, together to vet the type of woman we get into a relationship with, right? And then, two, to add, I got to add this. A lot of the boomer generation of men taught Black men to be in relationships with women who were rebellious. So we didn't even get proper vetting guidance. We got taught to date and be custodians of bad Black women by the boomer generation of men. And I think a lot of the boomer generation of men raised a lot of entitled daughters, right? And then taught us younger men to date their daughters that they raised bad. But that's another episode, right? I got to do a series about how the boomer generation of men failed the younger Black male. But I think that's what made her stay for those 4 years. I think because he met their family, she met his father. The father kind of liked her, and I think a lot of the fathers, because shout out to the pops that was in her ex's life, in her ex-man's life, right? This brother right here, right? Shout out to him, right? If you're gonna vet, if the fathers out there are gonna vet for your sons, you gotta adjust to what the present day environment are.
And we went on a big family cruise, and that was the first time I'd really met like everyone. I met his.
Wow, that was the pressure. So it's like she felt obligated to do it now.
His dad first on accident. And then
on accident.
Yeah, on accident. He surprised him. He flew to Dallas, and he just so happened to just kind of surprise him. And he was like, I'm here. And he was like, oh shoot, so is she. So I guess we're doing this. And
what she needed at the time, that's what she needed at the time. But she no longer needs that at the time. So he could have been a placeholder for her, because she mentioned emotional intimacy. So she needed that, as she did those emotional intimate things. And I'm going to break down what that means in a bit, because that's what she needed from him for that time. I wonder if she's going to reveal anything to me that's going to let me know he was a placeholder. Let's see.
Yeah.
And so I like to... So in the book, Student of Love, I teach people how to define your core values and then date according to your core values. What you said at the very beginning is something that's making my ears perk up, because you said what I liked or desired back then changed just 4 years later. So my question to you is, what were you looking for back then? Because you might, if I ask you something like, what was your core values then? It may go over your head. You're like, I'm 27 years old. I'm not even thinking about a core value. He looked good. Yeah. So you may just, and we like to go hang out. He was fine. You know, it's that, which has nothing to do with core values, which is even interesting. What was it that attracted you to him? You said y'all went out, he looked nice. Did you think further than that to say, this is what I desire in a husband, or were you just here for... You wasn't even thinking like that. Yeah. It was more casual that progressively turned something more permanent.
I think so. I had been single for, I think, 1.5 years before I met him. So I didn't think that it would turn into what it turned into, honestly. I didn't think single for, I think, 1 year. I think so. I had.
Even when they asked her, what was your connections? She didn't say anything. She just said, yo, we didn't party enough. We didn't vibes enough. We was living the fast life. Now she's saying, then she said he was what she needed at the time. Now she's saying, listen, hold on.
Been single for, I think, 1.5 years before I met him. So
she was in a relationship prior to meeting him. As I said, she was the placeholder. What did I tell you earlier? My term, logical interpretation, right? You got to take the bits and pieces of what women or the rest of the vague world is saying, put certain things together to create a roadmap of the picture, and then see if what they're doing aligns up to what they said, to find the truth or find the logic within the truth, right? So she said, he was what she needed at the time. She didn't say what were any real connections, and I'm glad he asked the question to see what the values were, because now it opened up the door for her to say certain things. And she said she wasn't in a relationship or for a whole year. Let's see what she said again.
I didn't single
something more permanent.
I think so. I had been single for I think a year and a half before I met him.
But I mean, she was in a relationship already. She was single a year and a half before she met him. So when she met him, she was what he needed to pick her up her spirit. So we don't know if what she was a bad breakup or good breakup. We don't know. But that's what she needed. Maybe she needed that little vibe for whatever time she needed. And then when she met his family members now, it put her in a position of marriage. And as she's saying, she didn't think it was going to go where she thought it was going to go until she met her father. So so her intention was never to be in a relationship with him for 4 years and then get engaged.
So I had
husband or think what he was fine.
Yeah.
You know, is that taking by you.
You're doing this. And yeah, he just so happened, and then everyone. I met his dad first on accident. And then
on accident.
Yeah, on accident. He surprised him. He flew to Dallas, and yeah, he just so happened to just kind of surprise him. And he was like, I'm here. And he was like, oh, shoot, so is she. So I guess we're doing this. And yeah.
And so
happy. I want to say I know it was in November, because first time I'd really met like everyone. I met his dad, big family crew, because I want to say I know it was in November, because I had gone home with him for Thanksgiving, and we went on a big family.
All know each other
and back there, and that was our very first meeting, and I really liked him. He was really kind. He was sweet. Very attractive.
What you needed
so, and we just stayed in touch. And he was driving back and forth from Dallas to Waco to see me, and I was, doing the same on the weekends.
Did y'all know each other's families? Did you get to? At what point did you meet his family?
She said something.
I want to say I know it was in November, because I had gone home with him for Thanksgiving, and we went on a big family cruise, and that was the first time I'd really met like everyone. I met his dad first on accident, and then
on accident.
Yeah, on accident. He surprised him. He flew to Dallas, and yeah, he just so happened to just kind of surprise him. And he was like, I'm here. And he was like, oh, shoot, so is she. So I guess we're doing this. And yeah.
And so I like to, so in the book, Student of Love, I teach people how to define your core values and then date according to your core values. What you said at the very beginning is something that's making my ears perk up, because you said what I liked or desired back then changed just 4 years later. So my question to you is, what were you looking for back then? Because you might, if I ask you something like, what was your core values then? It may go over your head. You're like, I'm 27 years old. I'm not even thinking about a core value. He looked good. Yeah. So you may just, and we like to go hang out. He was fine.
Yeah.
It's that, which has nothing to do with core values, which is even interesting. What was it that attracted you to him? You said y'all went out, he looked nice. Did you think further than that to say, this is what I desire in a husband, or were you just here for, you wasn't even thinking like that?
Yeah.
It was more casual that progressively turned something more permanent.
I think, so I had been single for, I think, a year and a half before I met him. So I didn't think that it would turn into what it turned into, honestly. I wasn't very intentional, I would say. But at the same time, I did know, intentional, I would say. But at the same time, I did know, I wanted someone.
We don't know. Maybe I don't know what happened with a breakup, but she was in a relationship prior to him. Remember, she was 26. She was 26 when she met him, so she was 25. So we don't know what she was doing at that time. But the guy, the boy, the husband, or ex-husband, or ex-engaged, whatever you want to call it, she could have been her placeholder. And he was what she needed at the time. So she really didn't know. I don't think she expected it to go 4 years and then into an engagement. And because he met her family, that's what they were doing. So she's saying things to let me know that that wasn't her intentions.
One who was a man of God, who, you know, went to church. His family, he comes from a great family. He grew up going to church, and I knew I knew the things, but I don't think that I put emphasis on those things.
No, you didn't know. A year prior to meeting him, you had a breakup. Then he was what you needed for at the time. And then when you met his father and his parents, you wasn't expecting to go that deep into the relationship. And then you went to end up being into a relationship with him 4 years. And then when the engagement came time, you said to yourself, shit, I didn't want to really be with this dude. It was just for that time that I needed. I no longer need the situation. And now you broke off the engagement with him now. And now you're speaking about godly this and godly that. So you didn't know what you wanted. He was just what you needed for at the time, maybe to help you with your prior breakup.
Things, and really was like intentional in that. And so in the 4 years we've been together, I can count on one hand how many times he and I went to church together.
Are you seriously? She's making shit up, people. Because my mother and her husband, right? Because my mother, she got a divorce from my pops, she remarried, right? But they don't always go to church on Saturdays. Sometimes they stay home and hold church in their living room. My father and his wife do the same, right? Because my father, he remarried too. So you don't always have to go physically to church to worship God. You can be in your own living room. You can watch church program. This is what my father and his wife does. This is what my mother and her husband does. They don't always go to church, or they have prayer line meetings. You know what I'm saying? Where they do prayer over Zoom. And these are young people. So she's lying, full of shit. Or she could have said, yo, baby, let's make time to go to church on Sunday.
So I said I wanted that, but I also wasn't intentional in, you know, making that effort, I think. And so now, as a 31-year-old woman, and I'm really, you know, looking for alignment in my relationships, even with friends, not just romantic relationships either. I am very, like, I know exactly what it is I want.
And what is that?
I want emotional intimacy, emotional safety, connection, definitely 100%. I have to have spiritual transparency.
Shut up. It's making it up. Let me break it down, because first she said she wanted a man of God, all right? So let's go into the presentation I really want to showcase here today. She's making it up. So biblical engagement and breaking off engagements, right? From the biblical perspective, the godly man preparing for marriage. So she says she wanted a godly man, right? A lot of young women make these excuses on why you broke up with the guy. This is a common excuse that they make. I've heard this 1,000 times before. So let's break it down. The Bible teaches that when a man is entering marriage, especially with a woman pursuing God, his focus should shift toward leadership, provision, and spiritual maturity, rather than continued youthful indulgences. So, if y'all partying, because she said you were no longer partying and going on dates or going to the gym, which I highly doubt y'all were going to the gym, that y'all stopped going to the gym. Y'all could have worked your asses out at home. So, yeah, you're full of shit. But if y'all partying when you were 26 and 26 to 27, and y'all get into a relationship now, and he's a man of God and he's prepping for marriage, he's not going to be doing those same things at the frequency like he was doing at 26, because now he's 31 and he's prepping for marriage. So now, if he's a man of God and he's following the word, he's shifting towards being a leader, provision, and spiritual maturity. All right, 1 Corinthians 7:32 through 34. Paul talks about how the unmarried person can focus entirely on God's work, but the married person has the responsibilities towards his spouse. right? So he's geared towards having a responsibility to you, because the Bible preaches that you got to prioritize each other, right? Implication: a godly man now has a shared spiritual responsibility and has to prioritize his family over previous lifestyle habits. So that's what he's doing. That's what this godly man she's looking for is doing, right? Proverbs 20, verse 7, the righteous who walks in his integrity, blessed are his children after him. Marriage calls for integrity and alignment in actions with faith. Excessive partying doesn't align with his path, right? So that's why he's not partying and doing that stuff she wants him to do, but she's just making shit up, right? Purity and example. One Theologians 4:3 verses 3-5 calls Christians to avoid sexual immorality and live honorably, which I don't think they were doing, right? While partying might not be inherently sinful, clubs and late night party culture often bring temptation and compromise. A godly man should minimize exposure to risky environments, which is what he was doing because he was a godly man. She said he went to church. So this is what you wanted, so this is what he's becoming. Key takeaway: a godly man during marriage is expected to moderate or phase out of partying, focus on meaningful recreation, and model self-control while still enjoying life responsibly. So you can't expect a man to be a man of God and then to get into a marriage and expect him to do the partying and stuff he was doing that you were attracted to him from. You're attracted to him from. You can't expect that from a man of God. He's transitioning into what he was doing as a child into being a grown-ass man getting married. Practical real-life common sense. Even outside the Bible, common sense suggests that life prioritizes natural shift. I said that earlier. Between ages 7 to 31, especially towards marriage. Lifestyle alignment. If both partners are serious about marriage, recreational habits should align. Late night partying multiple times per week is often incompatible with building a home, financial stability, or family planning. So she was not in alignment to his evolution, as I spoke about earlier. She wanted to stay stagnant. He was evolving into a marriage-minded person. Health versus hedonism. Working out is a healthy habit and can continue. It benefits physical, mental, and sexual health, but partying is often a social convenience or stress outlet. A mature man will live it to maintain energy, finances, and focus. All right, which I think this is what the brother was doing, because she didn't make any of these complaints that he wasn't aligned with anything. All right. Man entering marriage should evolve his lifestyle to match his responsibilities. He doesn't have to eliminate all fun, but there's a shift from individualistic leisure to shared meaningful experiences because he's married now. Partners want to feel their spouse, so emotional investment, right? Partners want to feel their spouse is all in emotionally as physically. Constant partying or late night socializing can make the partner feel secondary. So he's prioritizing the partner now, the situation. All right. Right? We don't have to go through that. Godly men preparing for marriage, biblical and secular perspectives, right? I think I already read through this. Secular perspectives. So, they always go to the biblical perspective and the secular perspective, but you can use both to come through with a common sense answer, right? This is important. Emotional intimacy, meaning and use. Emotional intimacy is the ability to connect deeply with another person through vulnerability, trust, empathy, and consistent communication. While it is real and a measurable aspect of relationships, it can sometimes be misused as socially acceptable reasoning for ending a relationship or shifting blame, especially when one party fails to engage in the connection themselves. Bullet points. True emotional intimacy includes honest sharing of feelings, fears, and dreams. I don't think she did that. Safe vulnerability and trust. I think he curated that for her, but she didn't express that to him. Mutual empathy and understanding. She did not have that. Consistency and active listening. I don't think she was doing these things. Signs that might be an excuse. Mentioned only after a breakup. Lack of specific examples or actionable concerns, but she gave none. She gave no example of what that means he lacked. She just said emotional intimacy. She didn't give none of those. And she only mentioned that after a breakup. She didn't say it to him. right? Frames deficiency entirely on one partner without acknowledging mutual responsibility, right? So she didn't acknowledge her part in that her responsible part to that. Emotional intimacy is a legitimate measure of relational connection, but claims of its absence must be assessed carefully. Genuine emotional intimacy requires mutual effort, and its absence is not automatically a fault of one partner. It may reflect reciprocal lack of engagement or serve as a socially acceptable relational for ending the relationship. So she's just saying it as an excuse. So it's not automatically the man's fault. It may reflect a lack of reciprocal engagement on her part. And she just saying what's socially acceptable, or these socially excuses to be acceptable, right? So I already discussed how it's measured. Here's where it gets tricky. In modern dating, I don't feel emotionally intimate with you. It's sometimes used as a genuine concern. A person truly didn't feel connected or safe to an open up emotionally. A convenient excuse, women and men too may use it after deciding they want to leave the relationship if the reason is unrelated. It's a socially acceptable and sounds sincere. It masks other motives. A manipulative tool in some cases is used to shift blame onto the man, suggesting he failed somehow without actually explaining deeper reasoning. She didn't explain any deeper reasoning. Lifestyle differences, ambition, or lack of attraction. I think it's lack of attraction, really. And like I said, she said he was what she needed for that time. So he was a placeholder. Practical takeaway, and I'm glad she disengaged from him before getting married to him. I'm so happy she did that because it saves him a lot of time, a lot of issues, and he can find a better chick that actually wants to be with him. Just because someone says it wasn't emotional intimacy doesn't automatically make it true. You have to evaluate. Did she engage in a meaningful conversation? Did she reciprocate vulnerability? Did she actively participate in the emotional connection? If she didn't do her part, then it's often just an excuse for a breakup. I don't think they asked her of that on that show. We're going to see. Red flags around this phrase. She uses emotional intimacy after a breakup instead of discussing it during the relationship. She says you didn't give enough emotional support, but never clearly defines what that means in practice. She frames it as a deficiency in demand without owning her own role in connection. A lot of times, this is a way to shift responsibility and make the man feel like he failed, even if the relationship ended for her for other reasons. So she's a red flag right now. And the other reason she ended it was because he was just a placeholder, right? As she said, she didn't expect to meet his father and his family, but she went. And she was kind of left to it. She didn't mean it to go that way. So this is important for men to understand and teaching women for men to understand what's going on so you don't invest your time and energy into women that really don't align with you. She said emotional safety. Y'all can pause and y'all can read this yourself. How it can be misused? Women can claim they didn't feel emotionally safe as an excuse to break up, even if the man was reasonably empathetic, often used after the fact as a social acceptable reason for leaving. So she's using this after the fact. She didn't bring this up. I doubt she brought this up to this guy. And if she brought this up to this guy, I guarantee you it's a trap. Because, like I said, with the evolutionary thing presentation I brought up earlier, he could have did that. He could have became a emotional custodian, and he could have forgot himself, and she could have been turned off by it more. Spiritual transparency. I'm going to read this one. Spiritual transparency means being honest and open about one's faith, beliefs, and spiritual practices. They were honest about that. She knew he was about God. She knew he was about the church. What is she talking about? So she's lying. Sharing personal prayer life, conviction, struggles, or more decision-making openly. Not hiding or misrepresenting their beliefs to look good or manipulative. or to manipulate. Demonstrating consistent alignment between professed faith and actions. How it's measured? Are your daily actions, choices, and lifestyle consistent with what you say you believe? Do you discuss spiritual goals, doubts, and practice openly? Does your partner see evidence of integrity or faithfulness in both word and deed? How it can be misused? Women may claim lack of spiritual transparency to justify leaving a relationship, even when the man is open about his faith, which he said he was. It can serve as a cover-up for deeper issues like misalignment in attraction, goals, or lifestyle. And I think it was misalignment in attraction. That's the main one. Objective evaluation requires looking at both stated beliefs and actual behavior over time. Right? Post-hoc rationalization. They provide a socially acceptable, morally clean reason for leaving. Ambiguous terms because they're subjective. They're easy to claim without needing proof. One-sided framing often ignores the woman's own role in building safety or transparency. Red flags. That is an excuse brought up only after breakup, not during the relationship. Lacks concrete examples. Framed as entirely the man's fault without acknowledgement of mutual effort. So, she said nothing. So let's go back to the video to see what more she's going to tell.
And definitely just be equally yoked. And it doesn't necessarily have to be like 100% equal, because when I'm not showing up the way that I want to, sometimes like I expect my partner to hold me accountable and pick me up and vice versa.
So he wasn't doing that?
But I do, think that is really important for me.
There's a bit of cognitive dissonance when you say, this is what I wanted. I wanted a man of God. I wanted this, and you admitted that what you desired, you recognize that it wasn't in alignment with your heart's desire, which is where cognitive dissonance comes into play. To elaborate more on that is this: whose idea was it to move in together?
Honestly, it was me. I was pushing to move in together. I was more so pushing for the engagement. I knew.
You didn't align with this guy. You knew that these things were not there. He wasn't giving you none of the emotional intimacy, any of that bullshit, and you pushed to move in with him. You pushed to engage with him, and now you're disengaging with him? Ooh.
Knew he wanted to get engaged. I know he wanted to be married, but it was definitely me who was more like, we have to be engaged before we get married. Not get married. We have to be engaged if we're going to move in together. Like, I at least want that. If we're, his parents were so adamant on us being married before making that step.
Right.
And I'm sure now he's probably, kicking himself in the butt. Like, I should have listened, but I mean, we all,
I think it's good that,
I want to hear what you said again.
It was definitely me who was more like, we have to be engaged before we get married. Not get married. We have to be engaged if we're going to move in together. Like, I at least want that. If we're, his parents were so adamant on us being married before making that step.
Right.
Parents were so adamant on us being.
Oh, shit. So the parents wanted him to get married before moving in. And I think it would have been a bad idea to the parents. So he shouldn't kick himself in the butt. It was actually a good thing because she fell out of attraction to him. And it wasn't his fault. It was her fault. That's on her. Fellas, you're not responsible for making your woman attracted to you. It's her responsibility to be attracted to you. Not your responsibility to force her or to get her to be attracted to you. She has to be attracted to you, right? So, and she has to be in alignment to wherever you're going in life. So if 20 years from now, if you're with a woman and 20 years from now, you want to be a NASCAR driver for shits and giggles, she has to be in alignment with that. And that's a choice of hers to make. You cannot force her to follow you. Right? So that onus is on her. You can't force a chick to be attracted to you. You can't stop her from not being attracted to you. That's on her head. Now, as a man, you should always still perform you and perform according to what you say you're going to do with your life, not according to what she says. Right. Now, of course, a woman can say, yo, I need a little bit more time with this. I need a little bit more time with that. And if she's in alignment with you and she's being a good woman to you, yes, you reward her with those things. Right. But, you know, don't reward that woman if she's not in alignment with you, she's being disrespectful to you and any other those stuff, right? I'm pretty balanced when it comes to that. Like if I'm with a chick and she's about my mission, she's in alignment with me, and she come to me, she said, hey, yo, Yardi, I like to go here, here, and here. Because she's been a good woman to me, I will reward with going her to certain places because she's a good woman to me. She's not trying to take authority over from me. She's not trying to dominate me. She's not being disrespectful to me. She's being a good woman to me. So of course, if she asks me, yo, I want to go here, I would like to go someplace here. Yeah, I would do that for her because she's doing things for me.
Being married before making that step.
Right.
And I'm sure now he's probably, you know, kicking himself in the butt. Like, I should have listened, you know, but I mean, we all, you know,
I think it's good.
I'm glad he didn't marry her before moving in. I'm glad he did something else, because if he married her before moving in, she would have did this. She would have did this. I don't know, because she was pushing for the engagement. So to the parents, right? If you ever watch this video, and to the brother, if you ever watched this video, right? It was a very good thing he didn't marry her and then move in. I'm very glad. I'm glad he engaged with her and then moved in, and then he got this response, because that was a vetting thing. Let her repeat it herself. Let me make her repeat it.
Engaged, more so push. Honestly, it was me. I was pushing to move in together. I was more so pushing for the engagement. I knew he wanted to get engaged. I know he wanted to be married, but it was definitely me who was more like, we have to be engaged before we get married. Not get married. We have to be engaged if we're going to move in together. Like, I at least want that. If we're, you know, his parents were so adamant on us being married before making that step.
Right.
And I'm sure now he's probably, you know, kicking, and I'm sure now he's probably making that if we're, you know, his engaged, if we're going to move in together. Like, I at least want that. If we're, you know, his parents were so adamant on us being married before making that step.
Right.
No, I'm glad that you didn't. So I'm glad. So to the parents, if you ever watch this video, and to the brother, if you ever watch this video, I'm glad y'all didn't get married before moving in. I'm glad y'all got engaged before moving in, so y'all can see what this chick was about and what she was going to do after that. Because now she presented this to you. And now y'all don't get married, so now y'all don't have to divorce, and she don't have to feel trapped into her marriage. Because what would be the talking point or the conversation would be after y'all got married and moved in? So that was a good move.
And I'm sure now he's probably...
And it sounds like the parents are more traditional, and they're probably good parents. I think that the parents are not equipped to the modern day dating life. Right. So, you know, it's not nothing bad with his parents. I think the parents, like, because they're traditional people, I don't think they're too game or hip, because, you know, they went to a family Thanksgiving, family cruise. So shout out to that, to his family and his father for being in his life, and his parents for being in his life. But I think when they're vetting for him for the future, they got to be more equipped to what the modern dating life looks like. You know what I'm saying? So I hope this is a learning lesson to him, and it's a learning lesson to the brother's family.
Probably, you know, kicking himself in the butt. Like, I should have listened, you know. But I mean, we all, you know.
I think it's good that we get an opportunity to learn from our decisions, learn from our mistakes. Like I said, you're only 31 years old. As the old folks say, just keep living. That's what they always say, just keep living. But the reality, and I'm glad that you're giving voice to this, because he had influence around him, parents that said, hey, you might want to be married before you start playing house, as we used to say. And then you say, well, no, we're going to move together. You admit that you pushed let's live together. And he's like, see, And the thing about it is this, and I want every man to understand this part. And this is what leadership is. Leadership is saying, hey, I know you were pushing for us to move together, but no. You said you want a man of God. This is how a man of God does. I'm not shacking up with you. I created that as a moniker for my podcast to literally say, it's a fun way of saying, I know you're watching the podcast. A lot of people watch the podcast, but they don't make a commitment to just hit the free little thing to subscribe. And that's what we do in these relationships. We don't subscribe. We won't get married. We won't go to that next step, but we want all the benefits of it. We want to watch, entertain, do all the other stuff with the people we're dating, but then we don't want to make that full-time commitment. So it's interesting that that's how my podcast is started.
That leadership part, right? Because he's correct, right? If your woman wants to go one way and you know it's not a good thing for you or how you structure yourself, you say, hey, no, this is where I want to go. What I disagree with is that this chick was going to divorce him if they had got married. So it's actually a good thing that they didn't get married before they moved in together. I'm glad they got engaged and then moved into with each other. And as he learned what she was going to do with that after that 8 months. Because could you imagine they got married and what would have happened 8 months after? Because listen to the claims she's making right now. Bunch of vague shit that don't mean anything. So I'm glad they didn't get married. I'm glad they didn't get married before they moved in, and they got engaged and then moved in, because that could be a vetting tactic. Okay, cool. Let's get engaged and let's move in, and let me vet her a year after we get engaged to see how she's going to behave and how she's going to respond. And she failed that test because she broke off the engagement, even though she pushed for the engagement.
Started out, and then this is what your lived experience is. You said, hey, listen, his parents said don't do this. I know he's probably kicking himself in the butt for making that happen. What made you desire that, though? What made you desire? You said, hey, I know you want to marry me, but let's live together first.
Yeah. I just loved him.
You just want to be
I just
around
wanted
him all
to be,
the time.
yeah, I wanted to be in his skin. Like, so yeah, we moved in together, and it just seemed like we were on track we were talking about marriage. And at the time, you know, we were so locked in, like we're going to get married. So, you know, we might skip a step, but it's going to happen. Yeah. So we really felt that way. And we were so.
No, because you said that he was what you needed at the time after your breakup. You said you wanted to be in his skin, and then after 8 months, you broke off with him. So that means you was in his skin and you were no longer attracted to him. So now this is why I'm glad they didn't get married. I'm glad they got engaged and then moved it together and didn't get married first, because she was close to him. That attraction from her to him, with the attraction for him with her, got lost. Right. So, they just fell out of the limit, fell out of the traction. That's all it is.
You know, like I said, we were having those conversations about marriage, and it just felt like
felt right.
It felt right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It didn't feel like we were rushing it. And actually I tore my Achilles right before. So it kind of came around the right time because my lease ended. I couldn't go up and down stairs and elevators and stuff. So us moving in together, it honestly was helpful in that way too. Mm-hmm. So there was like life that happened.
What did your parents say?
In together, it honestly up and down stairs and the right times right before. So it kind of came around the right time because my lease ended. I couldn't go up and down stairs. And
so you was living at an apartment with a big step. Your Achilles heel tore. Your lease was ended, so you pushed to move in with him, and you know that in order to move in with him, you had to be married because that's what his parents wanted. So y'all engaged to move up with him and shack up with him. So you needed a place to stay and heal your tendons heel. And now that your tendons healed, yo, now he don't want to be with the nigga no more. Okay.
and elevators and stuff. So us moving in together, it honestly was helpful in that way too.
Mm-hmm.
So there was like life that happened.
What did your parents say about the whole like moving in together?
Yeah. They really didn't have any kind of pushback on it. They trust me to make good decisions. And I think they felt like if I was making that decision, I was making that decision from a good place, or, you know, whatever the case might be. So they didn't really have the same pushback the way his parents did. But also my parents are much younger.
Okay.
And so, you know, they come from a different time, different place and era where, you know, that's not a thing. So
you said your parents, or you said his parents are like that?
My parents are much younger.
So they're cool with it.
So they're a little bit more, my parents,
yeah,
they're together, but they live separated.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they're married.
They're married.
And so
what?
So when y'all moved together, felt like it's the best decision, would you do it again? Next person that God brings into your life, would you cohabitate before y'all even get married? What are your views about that?
I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not sure that if we weren't living together, that the issues that came about would have come about.
Right.
To know that that wasn't what was needed in marriage, I guess.
She didn't really tell us any issues. She just said a bunch of vague, dumbass shit. She didn't tell any issues. She didn't tell us any issues. Emotional intimacy, and I told you about that. Those are things she could have worked out during the situation. She didn't tell us anything.
So I'm not 100% sure.
Are you comfortable sharing the issues?
Even one thing.
Yeah. I would say, I think.
And listen, before you answer, I'm going to tell you why that's important. My brothers, men believe that women, you just can't please them. You can give the woman everything. Like you even showed me a reel that somebody shared where you give this woman this, you go against your own core values, let them move in with you, and then you put a ring on their finger, and then she ups and leaves you for no reason. Like, men are being so triggered by your experience because they already believe it before you even did it. All you did was validate their fear. You validate their fear in saying that, see, you can give a woman, and I've seen it. I've seen this person who was married. Now, I can applaud you for not even getting married and making the decision that you felt like was best for your life. It was a lady that went viral that was married and said, I've been married with my husband X amount of years. He is so perfect. He is so great. He takes care of me. He does this and that. I mean, she said nothing bad in that video and said, I just didn't want to be married anymore. And people were like, what in the world? You know how devastating that would be to give the woman everything that she desired. And she admits, no, my husband takes care.
I believe he should have let her say what it was and then say that.
Me. He loves me well. He's a great father. He's great, everything. I just didn't want to be married anymore. You know how traumatizing that is to a man, because a lot of men don't even see that as an example. It's most of us. And then to become the example that you want to see and it still don't work out, they become the red pill community. Those people like, don't trust women. I hate women. They this, and it just gets very toxic. And so the Dear Future Wifey podcast tries to.
But hold on, brother. You may not like the red pill, but they do have a point. So instead of calling them toxic, acknowledge their pain. Acknowledge the shit. You know, those red pill guys have a point.
Create a safe space for people to share the idiosyncrasies, the intricacies of relationships. You say.
So now every time a guy speaks about this, he's red pill. And because there were certain individuals in the space that I want to say gave that red pill space a bad name, it's like the red pill is bad, but it's not bad. If you listen to it objectively, it's not a bad thing, right? Because red pill is the idea, is a space, it's an idea, and then individuals can translate that idea from their own perception. But in totality, those men in that red pill that go through that, they have a good point. It's a good point. And she's basically describing what those red pill guys go through, where men invest their time with something, and then the woman ups and leaves. And the guy did everything he was supposed to do, and then the world blames the guy for doing everything she was supposed to do, but it doesn't hold the woman accountable for anything. That's the biggest issue. All right, let's get into it.
Hey, well, this is what I felt. It's not some flighty moment that I had. This is what I really experienced, and by no means uncover that, brother. But I'm just saying something that you felt, whether it was God that showed you or didn't, that said, this is what I felt that I couldn't live long term with.
Yeah. Okay. So I will say, when we first moved in together, I was working my full-time job as a news anchor. And then a year ago in September, we made the decision that it was best for me to leave the job. My contract had ended. They offered me to renew it. And we decided together that, okay, we're not going to do that anymore. So I started my own business, and he said that he would take care of everything financially. So that became the norm for our household.
So he was financing your business, okay, financing your life, and then he's financing you. So
but I think in that, what got lost was the dating. So I think.
Fellas, I don't have an issue if you want to finance your woman's business and her dreams, so long as she's respectful to you, she's in alignment with your mission, and the business that you're helping her to finance, it's going to be beneficial to you too. I mean, I don't mean no half-ass, punk-ass benefit. Like, that business is going to be beneficial to you. She's going to spend money on you. It's going to help you elevate, help you build a legacy. And at the same time, you're working to strive for your business. And, these things could help you elevate as a family. I have no issue with that. My issue that she's discussing right now is the dating. This is how I know she's full of shit.
Because he was paying all of the bills, it was like, okay, now I don't have to put an effort over here.
But baby, he's financing your bills. He's financing your thing. He's helping you. So if he's helping you to finance, the dates cannot be too much. At least you can say, well, baby, we're not dating enough. And she could have brought up in that situation. I doubt that he did. That she did. I'm pretty sure if you brought it up to him, a man of God, because the Bible does teach you to prioritize your woman or whatever, and he could have made some time for it. That's her.
And I don't think that in his mind he was thinking that way. I don't think that it was intentional or anything like that. But
so you didn't bring it up to him? So he wasn't attracted to him. You could have brought it up to him. You just was not attracted to that dude. Let's say that. He's financing something to you. And I'm glad she left. Honestly, I'm glad she left. I'm glad that, he's not going to. It's just sad that he was willing to fund her life. And this is the response he get. And this is the nightmare that brother on the couch said the red pill community talks about. That he calls them toxic. She just validated the red pill talking points.
There was just no emotional intimacy. And so that's when I suggested that we go to couples therapy to try and, get that back. And
what the therapy?
Actually, it was before I quit my job. It was already kind of brewing before then. And
quit your
then
job?
I quit my job. And then it was even kind of more so because now I had a lot more free time. And so he works from home. I'm at home. And so I'm like, you know, hang out with me. Let's go do something. Let's go to the gym, or, you know, like I wanted to spend time with him. And it just, I think it was just, we just stopped spending.
So, fellas, doesn't she lack communication skills, the very thing that they accuse men of not having? Because she could have communicated that to him. She even admitted that it wasn't in his mind, so he didn't know. He was unaware of it. You could have said something to him. You could have told him, I need some more dates. I want to go somewhere. I'm pretty sure he would have planned it. I'm pretty sure he would have took some time off or took some vacation time off and did that for you.
Time. We stopped dating.
Boy, these women take advantage of men of God. And fellas, if you're a man of God, if you're a Christian, do not lose faith in your belief system or what you believe, how you should operate as a man because of how somebody mistreated you. Right? You just got to create better systems to prevent people from getting access to you. You know what I'm saying? So
we stopped doing the things that I guess like brought us together. And as time went on,
but she didn't even say what were the things that brought them together. It was a bunch of bullshit. You were partying, fast life. You didn't even describe what the fast life was. What y'all doing? Smashing all the time? What y'all doing? Drinking? What was whole phases? What was going on in the fast life?
I think in my mind, I thought, okay, he's working really hard. I'm going to let him grind it out and
support you.
I'm going to do the same. And so I started getting clients and getting really busy. And then I met women who are, you know, engaged or in long-term relationships too. So, you know, going out to the club, and that wasn't even a thing for me. Like we were going to girl dinners and, you know, so that wasn't a thing. And
something.
It's crazy because
you're like, man, I want to go to the movies. Let's go there. You could have planned it.
The very thing that
she bought
I thought would help, like just by me taking time and like giving him the time, is what ultimately like drove us apart. Because I grew in so many ways and he was still kind of just like stuck in his rhythm and flow. And
so hold on, let me bring back the presentation. Hold on. I gotta bring the presentation back on the screen. Hold on. Hold on. Let me bring up the presentation back on the screen. No. He shared his mission or identity to satisfy her demands because he was supporting her. Right? She wanted him to become the emotional stabilizer. And she's upset with him for becoming that. It consumed who he was. So that's what stunted his progress. While you evolved in so many ways, and so I know she's full of shit. Right? So she didn't evolve and complement her to complement his alignment or masculine growth, right? And she had insecurity, and she sabotaged him. But he didn't stagnate her because he was helping her start her business. So she was actually stunting him. And I bet that now that she left, he's going to grow. And watch her story then, her arc then. Wow. Let me read this. Men are socially conditioned to become providers and emotional managers in relationships, often sacrificing personal growth, while evolution requires certain parts of oneself to die. A man should evolve according to his own vision, not a woman's. A woman should evolve in relation to his leadership, but many women sabotage a man's growth due to insecurity or competition. True male evolution sometimes requires ending relationship that stunt the progress. So she was the one stunting his progress. She was the one, because he was providing her for her business. And when he did that, she just described the nightmare that turns a lot of guys into red pill that brother called toxic. Christ almighty.
It like became really apparent on my birthday. Like he had no idea what to do or like get me, because he's just like, I don't know. So he just didn't do anything.
You guys weren't connecting. You weren't finding time to connect.
Yo,
did you?
Hey, to the brother and the parents, you ever watched this video? This is why it was a good thing he didn't get married, because she would have did this when they were married. Because remember, he was paying to support her business. That's why he made that sacrifice as a godly man. And yeah, godly people, you gotta stop. There's certain things in our Bible that a lot of bad women use to manipulate godly men. Because this was a godly man by definition of the word. And her parents were separated. His parents were together. Her parents were married but separated. So she had a bad example. His parents were together. So they were not equally yoked. She was the problem. He wasn't. He had actual proper upbringing. She didn't. And they were younger parents. She's like 31. So I guess her parents is maybe what, Gen X? And I guess his parents were boomer generation. So I will say this, not every boomer generation of parents were bad people, were bad parents. They're probably good, right? But his parents had it together and hers didn't. So that is also a vetting tactic. So for fellas, vet the woman's parents, to how they behave, how they act, and that should give you cues on whether you should go forward with her or not. Because her parents weren't married, they were married but separated. So she didn't have a good example. Christ.
Talk about that with him?
Yeah, we talked about it. I mean, we talked about it a lot. It was
No, you didn't.
Like a broken record, I felt
like.
What
would he say? What was his response? Shit up.
You know, he's working a lot, and it wasn't that, you know, he didn't want to. And I really like understood where he was coming from, but at the same time, it's like you work from home though, like just an hour, you know, like just take a second. I don't know. And I think I started to become very resentful. So then the resentment got so bad that then it was just like, now I'm unattracted. Now I don't even want, like, it just kind of started trickling down, and to the point where
validated.
It just felt like exhausting.
What the dating coaches say, what Red Pill says, that when you sacrifice for a woman, she becomes unattracted to you because he moved according to her. Remember, she pushed for marriage. She pushed for those things. She pushed to be engaged. She pushed to move in. And then he sacrificed to support her business. You understand what I'm saying? So you just, because I agree with that a man should support his woman's business if she's a good woman to him and she's in alignment with him. I agree that a man should do good things for a woman that is doing good for you. But if you're a guy and you have experiences and the chick you made sacrifices for got unattractive because of those sacrifices, because you follow her lead and basically how she subscribes, you just validated what the Red Pill just said. How do you do that? How do you do that? That's the nightmare. Boy, oh boy.
To try. At first, trying was like not necessarily exciting, but it was like, you know, we're gonna try to get somewhere, and I'm on the hamster wheel, and then I eventually, like, you just get tired and you want to just get off.
Now, Did you say he was taking on the bills? How do you think that weighed on him?
For sure.
As a man?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
Funding her business.
I mean, it had to have.
Mm-hmm.
So,
so you don't even know. It
had half of my,
you didn't know?
Half of everything was taken away. Mm-hmm. So, it wasn't like when we were living.
She said that her apartment was in lease. She had a sprained Achilles heel, so she couldn't walk up the steps. She pushed for engagement, and she pushed to move into his house. They mutually agreed to quit her job as a news anchor. She could have kept working as a news anchor, but he was doing the provider role thing to support his wife, his girl, which they were engaged in. Then, now she's saying that she lost the time. So he was paying for the bills and at the same time supporting your business. Boy, oh boy. This is the nightmare most men talk about.
Living together and we were engaged and I was still working. I didn't necessarily pay half of everything, but it probably evened out to half. Mm-hmm. So, I did contribute financially still. Mm-hmm. And it was only when I quit that stopped. So
why did you quit? And you weren't paying. He was paying majority. He was paying the lion's share. You weren't doing the shit. Boy, oh 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 boy. I like the more she talks, the more she.
So I do think that.
Did he start to kind of emotionally disconnect around that time?
She's feeling it. What?
It was already before that. It was all, yeah, we already were in therapy for the emotional intimacy and like wanting to connect before I quit my job.
The socially acceptable things.
And then I don't necessarily think it got worse. I just think it was more apparent for me because I wasn't leaving to go to work and then coming back, Mm-hmm. So now it was just like highlighted.
Mm-hmm.
It's so interesting. It's so interesting because I'm one of those people that don't believe every relationship's supposed to work. So I understand the lessons that you're supposed to glean from those relationships that don't work.
It was her.
But then I also can hear moments of, and I'll just share this with you. What would you do? You're married and you experience the exact same thing in marriage. Would you divorce?
That's a good question.
No.
Why not?
Because I am married. That's the difference. I think a lot of people online, a lot of the backlash I got was, oh, well, you wasted his time and you were engaged and like that's, but I mean, I don't want to say the point of being engaged is to be able to walk away, but it wasn't official yet. We were still in that period, that trial period and figuring it out. And I mean, we really, really did try to get in alignment. And it just wouldn't happen. And I was so unhappy.
I got another presentation to present to y'all. Give me a second. Waiting. All right. The right woman, an objective thesis, right? So I'm talking about submission. I don't think she was fully submitted, right? So these are the pillars: submission, obedience, respect, love, consistency, emotional health, alignment to your mission. She fell out of alignment with her mission, with the mission towards the sky, right? So when you talk about so let's go all the way to the top, right? Submission It's not slavery or weakness or silence. Submission is a woman's willingness to align her action, decision, and attitude with the leadership of the man she has chosen. Did she do that here? No. Objective definition. Submission is a voluntary position of herself under your leadership because she trusts, respects, and believes in your direction. She didn't do that. She follows your lead without resistance or resentment. She supports the direction you set for the household or relationship. She chooses cooperation over control. She relinquishes the need to compete with you. Submission is not accidental. It's behavioral orientation toward male leadership. He did not do that. Obedience. She definitely wasn't this. Respect. She had a little bit of respect, not full respect, right? And y'all can pause the video. You can look at what obedience is when you pause it. All right. You can look at respect when you pause it, because this is important. She didn't showcase obedience and she didn't showcase submission. She showed a little bit, she showed respect a little bit, right? Love. This is important. She wasn't this completely. Like, she liked him. She did like him, so I'll give her that. She did like him, but all of these 8 pillars have to be hitting like cylinders, right? So you have to pause this and look at it. Consistency. She was not this. Maybe she was. I don't know. It doesn't sound like she was based on her description. Emotional health. She looks emotionally healthy. I think. I can't really measure that based upon her words talking. Like a woman said, when a woman's emotional health, you will see that over time. You're not going to see that right away. Alignment with your mission. She fell out of alignment. So all 8 of these pillars have to be hitting in cylinders. Have to be hitting. A right woman for a man is who submits to leadership, obeys the structure set by him, respects his authority, loves him deeply, like who he is consistent in her behavior, is emotionally healthy, is aligned with his mission. She was probably either maybe like a little bit of respect. She didn't love him deeply. Maybe she was consistent, emotionally healthy, I don't know. But she definitely was not aligned to his mission. She was submissive and she wasn't obedient. And I might do a separate video talking about this. I might use another chick, for example. But she was not any of these things, right? This is the most important part, right? Her autonomy and accountability. To understand why none of these traits are the man's responsibility to force, you must understand autonomy. Autonomy, objective definition. Autonomy is a person's independent ability to make choices and self-govern their behavior, emotions, and actions without external control. How autonomy applies here. Because a woman is autonomous, her submission is her choice, her respect is her responsibility, her liking and loving you is her own emotional decision. Her consistency depends on her discipline, not your coaching, right? Now it can, right? It can and it can't, because you got to choose your coaching. She got to choose to be consistent with your coaching. But at the end of the day, it's her responsibility to be consistent with her choice to choose your coaching. She got to be disciplined with what you're coaching her, right? So you just have to coach and coach her. She has to choose to be disciplined with what you're coaching her, right? Her emotional health is her job to maintain. Her alignment with your mission is voluntary, right? So this is the important thing. A woman cannot blame a man for a lack of respect, submission, obedience, consistency, emotional stability, alignment, liking him, loving him. Those are her behaviors governed by her autonomy. She cannot say, I don't respect you because of you. I don't submit because of you. I'm inconsistent because of you. Those statements violate autonomy. There are emotional blame shifts, right? So let me say this. A woman can love you, emotionally attached, but not like you, not enjoying your presence, not respect you, not honoring your authority, right? So, so I might go into depth on this one package, this one presentation for a separate video, because I don't want this to turn into a 2-hour long thing. But anyway, let's go back to it.
Happy. And it really, I mean, when I ended it, we were in couples therapy. when it happened. So it wasn't just all of a sudden. I don't think it was a shock when I told him that I didn't want to, continue on anymore.
You said it wasn't a shock?
I don't think so. I would be surprised if he said that he was surprised.
What was his response?
He said, well, he had like a smirk on his face and he was like, I saw this coming, or I felt like this was coming. And thank you for being honest. And then that was pretty much it. Was that the last time y'all spoke, or did he continue trying to put effort to hopefully make you change your mind? No, we actually continued living together up until a couple weeks ago. So we actually went on a break in July, and we were living together but living in separate bedrooms. And then in October is when I decided that we were going to not continue, and that was early October. And then I moved out a couple of days before Christmas. So when did you officially call it off? What date was that? It was, I think, like October 3rd or something. Okay. It was a Thursday. So it was in October. So when people seeing this video recently, it ain't like you made that decision the day before. No. So this happened in October, and you took some months to get yourself together emotionally, spiritually, and everything, and then said, now I'll share this with the world. Mm-hmm. Because you shared with the world that you were engaged. Yes. And I've heard a lot of people say, I didn't want to feel like a fraud sharing this happy moment, and then when it ends, then I can't share that as well. Yeah. So did you feel the same way? I did. And there were a lot of people asking me, again, like I said, I share a lot online of my life. So there were a lot of women like, where's the wedding content? Because I did post me trying on dresses at one point and looking at venues, and then it just kind of stopped. And so women were asking, where the dresses were and the content was, or are you still engaged? And there was a point where I did stop wearing my ring. So even though we were on a break, like I would wear my ring in public settings, like big public settings. And then, if I was going to the grocery store or something, I didn't really wear it, but it just, I don't know. So you were wearing it even, so you're talking about after, was it the break or the final like even break? During the break. Yeah. I would wear it in places where I knew a lot of people knew me to be engaged and knew us to be together. And so I would wear my ring then. But if I knew like I was going to the gas station or like somewhere no one would know, I didn't wear it.
So you were keeping up appearances. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you said that, and again, you talk about a couple of things that make it very problematic if you live together with somebody, because you don't go through like a typical breakup. It feels more like a divorce because now you got to find somewhere to live. There's never been a situation where I've dated anybody that when it ended, I had to find somewhere to live or they had to find somewhere to live. Yeah. It just ended. It's like a typical, I always believe that there should be different levels of access. And so, if people can look at it, for instance, I'll use a major celebrity. You go to a concert, most people just get general admission. Some people just may be out in the outside. They may come out through the where the back door entrance is and stand out. They couldn't even get a ticket, so they're standing out there hoping to get a glimpse of the celebrity when they walk out or come out to see and wave at them. Some people get a chance to get a ticket, getting general admission. Some people get VIP. You saw that with Chris Brown, and everybody got a chance to take the little pictures with Chris Brown, so they got a little bit different access. And then some people get an all access pass. All access passes are people that typically work with the artist. They're on the team of the artist, or they work at the venue, and they can come and go. They can go from the audience all the way to the backstage. They get this.
Anyway, I'm kind of done with this. Like, I've heard enough that I need to hear. And yo, this is just ridiculous. And to end this off here, Black men, your vetting is getting better. You know what I'm saying? And you can't allow these women to tip you off of where you want to go with your life and your direction. But, this was not this brother's fault. This was the woman. She was the issue. But anyway, this is Kid Shorty Views of Vlogs. Like, share, and subscribe.